All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on web apps. We're not just going to look at them, we're going to break down the core blueprint that pretty much powers every single one. It's easy to think it's some kind of digital magic, but it's not. It's actually all about smart, simple engineering. Let's dive in.
I mean, really think about it for a second. From those huge social networks to your simple little to-do list, they all share a kind of secret skeleton. It might seem impossibly complex from the outside, but it's not. We're about to go on a builder's journey together and see exactly how these things are put together from the ground up. See? It's not some dark art. It's just good, solid engineering. And any good engineer will tell you, you don't just start laying bricks without a plan. Our plan, our blueprint, it's all built on 4 core pillars, 4 fundamental ideas that support almost every modern web app out there. So here's our game plan. First up, we've got the front door, which is all about authentication. Then we need a supply line for fetching all our data. After that, we need a brain to manage all that information. And finally, we'll put it all together with the building blocks, the components of our app. So let's start right where every visitor does, at the front door.
Okay, first things first. Every app needs to know who you are. This is what we call authentication, and it's our first pillar. Just think of it like installing the lock on the front door of the house we're building.
It's really what separates a public space from a private one, right? When you log in, you're basically using your key to tell the app, hey, it's me. And this is crucial because it lets the app show you your specific stuff and not somebody else's. So how does an app actually remember who you are after you log in? Well, a lot of the time, it's a surprisingly simple trick. This line of code here uses something called localStorage. You can kind of think of it like a tiny, secure little notepad that lives right inside your browser. When you log in, the app just jots down a quick note, hey, this user is verified. It's basically the digital version of leaving your key in the lock so you don't have to prove who you are on every single page. Okay, so our user is in the door. Now what? Well, an empty house isn't much fun. We need to fill our application with useful stuff. This brings us right to our second pillar, setting up the supply line to go get our data. An app without data, posts, photos, messages, whatever, it's just an empty frame. It's not very useful. To make it come alive, we've got to connect it to a supply line, a way to pull in all that information from a server where it's stored. The big question is, how do we actually build that connection? Well, lucky for us, the web browser gives us this powerful built-in tool for exactly this job. It's called the Fetch API. Think of it like a universal phone line. Your app uses Fetch to call up a server and say, hey, can you please send me the latest posts? And the best part is, it's a standard that just works right out of the box in every modern browser. But what happens if that call doesn't go through? Maybe your Wi-Fi drops, or the server's just having a bad day. That is exactly where this try-catch pattern comes in. It's a lifesaver. Your code will first try to make the request. And if anything at all goes wrong, it will catch that error and handle it nicely instead of just crashing the whole app. It's an absolutely crucial safety net. Okay, so we've got a user in the door and we've got a supply line for our data. But where are we going to put all this stuff? We need a way to organize everything. We need a brain for our application. And this is our third pillar, state management. And this right here, this is the exact problem that state management solves. On the left, you've got total chaos. Is the app loading? Who's logged in right now? Where are the posts? The information is just scattered everywhere. But on the right, sweet order. State management gives us one central, organized place to hold all the answers, giving our app a reliable memory. And here it is. This is the state object. We call this the single source of truth for the whole application. And it's awesome. Just by looking at this one object, we can answer any important question. Do we have any posts yet? Just look at the posts list. Is someone logged in? Check current user. Is the app in the middle of loading something? Just check if isLoading is true. It's the entire app's current memory, all in one neat package. So we have our user, we've got our data, and we've got a brain to keep track of it all. It's time for our final pillar, the building blocks. We're not going to build our app like some giant, messy sculpture. Nope, we're going to build it with smart, reusable components. This is really the modern way of doing things. Instead of writing one enormous file for an entire web page, You break it down. You create small, manageable, and totally reusable pieces called components. Seriously, think of them like Lego bricks. You build one brick for a user profile, another one for a post, another for a button, and then you can just snap them together however you want.
Let's make this super concrete. Here, we've got a simple function called create postcard. All this little guy does is take some post data and spit out the HTML for a single postcard. By making this one small, repeatable function, we can now create hundreds of postcards, all looking exactly the same just by calling it over and over again. It's incredibly efficient.
And there you have it, the 4 pillars: authentication, data fetching, state management, and components. You officially have the core blueprint. But of course, a blueprint is just the beginning. Now you get to be the architect.
So where do you even go from here? Well, you could add a sign-up form so new users can get in. You could make the whole experience better with some loading spinners so people know the app is working. Or maybe you build a central spot to show any errors that pop up. The cool part is, every single one of these additions uses the exact same 4 pillars we just talked about. You're just applying the blueprint again and again.
And that's really the whole point, isn't it? With this blueprint, you're not just a passive user of apps anymore. You actually understand the architecture. You can see the structure hiding behind the screen. The patterns are clear, and the tools are free and available to absolutely everyone. So the only real question left is, what would you build? What problem are you going to solve? Now that you have the blueprint, what's the first brick you're going to lay?